and welcome to our session on generative AI and prompting for everyday work. Generative AI is an exciting new tool that can act like a very smart assistant. For example, imagine you need to write an email or a report, but you are not sure how to start. You could ask a generative AI to help draft it. It's a bit like having someone who is great with language or design, ready to help you out when you need it. Generative AI can even create images or help you brainstorm ideas. Think of it as someone who has read millions of books and seen millions of pictures, ready to assist you. This session will show you what generative AI is and how to use it in simple, practical ways for everyday work. We will start by explaining what generative AI really means and how it differs from traditional forms of AI you might have heard about. Then, we'll explore why you might already be using generative AI in your daily work, maybe in ways you don't even realize. Next, we will introduce the idea of prompting, which is how you give instructions or ask questions to a generative AI tool. We'll talk about why writing a good prompt is important and cover some different types of prompts and techniques to give better results with generative AI. After that, we will look at some real-world examples of how people are using generative AI right now in different jobs and industries. We will also discuss the limitations of generative AI because no tool is perfect. It's good to know what it can and cannot do. Finally, we will cover how to use this tool responsibly and ethically in the workspace. By the end of this session, you will have a clear idea of how to start using generative AI as a helpful part of your everyday work. So let's get started. What is generative AI? Generative AI is a type of artificial intelligence that can create new content. It can generate text, images, music, or other material based on the data it has learned from. For example, if a generative AI has been trained on millions of articles, it can write a new article when you ask it a question. It's like a very well-read assistant or an imaginative artist. It looks at patterns in the information it was trained on and then uses those patterns to make something new. Some popular examples of generative AI include ChatGPT, which generate text like emails or stories, and tools like Dolly or Midjourney, which create images from text descriptions. These tools can do creative tasks. Think of generative AI as a smart apprentice or a master chef. It has seen thousands of examples and ingredients, and now it can mix them together to create a new result when you give it a prompt. It's a bit like asking an experienced writer or a designer for ideas. You give it some instructions and it produces something new for you. Generative AI uses advanced machine learning algorithms. It learns patterns from an enormous amount of data, which could be books, articles, images, or code. You can think of it like an extremely powerful autocomplete, just like your phone suggests the next word when you're typing. Generative AI predicts the next words or pixels to create a few sentences, paragraphs, or images. Because it has seen so much information during training, its predictions can be realistic. However, generative AI doesn't understand content the way a human does. It is just very good at matching patterns, so when you give it a task, it will produce an answer that sounds plausible based on what it learned, even if it's not an expert. This means it can sometimes make mistakes or hallucinate information. We'll cover these limitations later, but for now, just remember that generative AI is a powerful tool for creating content and not a human expert. In summary, generative AI is like a creative assistant or a tool that is learned from a huge library of examples. So, when you ask it to do something like writing, drawing, or brainstorming, it uses what it has learned to generate something new, isn't it? It can surprisingly be helpful, but it works best when we give it clear instructions or prompt to follow. How is it different from traditional AI? Traditional AI and generative AI are used for different kinds of tasks. Traditional AI, sometimes called narrow AI, is designed to perform specific well-defined tasks. It might analyze data and give you a result or classification, but it doesn't create new content. For example, traditionally AI could look at a loan application and decide approve or deny based on the rules. It could sort emails into spam or not spam, or identify objects in a photo. These systems follow loan rules and patterns to give an answer, but they don't write or draw new things on their own. Generative AI, on the other hand, is meant to produce new content. It acts more like a creative partner. For example, it can write the text of an email, compose a song, generate an image, rather than just analyzing or labeling something. So while the traditional AI might tell you this image has a cat in it, a generative AI could actually create a brand new image of a cat from a text description. Generative AI uses its training to come up with new outputs instead of just selecting or analyzing existing ones. Another way to think about it is with an analogy. Traditional AI is like a calculator or some sorting machine. It gives precise answers or decisions based on input. Generative AI is more like a storyteller or artist. It takes ideas and creates something new. Both types of AI are useful, and in many applications they work together. For example, it could be a traditional AI could organize and analyze data, and then a generative AI could use that data to write a summary or generate a chart. In short, the traditional AI identifies and categorizes existing information, while generative AI invents and creates new contents, ideas, or instructions. Where do we use it daily? So where do we use it daily? Generative AI is already becoming part of many everyday tasks at work and even at home. Think about tasks like writing emails, creating presentations, doing research, or planning projects. These are exactly the kind of things generative AI can help. In fact, you might already be using simple AI features without even realizing it, such as smart replies in an email or writing suggestions in a word processor. As technology advances, AI can do even more help with these routine work activities. Writing and communication. AI can draft emails, reports, or social media posts. It can summarize long documents into key points or rewrite text to improve clarity and tone. Research and summarizing. You can ask AI to explain a complex topic, find important information quickly, or give you a summary of a meeting, transcript, or report. This speeds up research and helps you make better decisions. Brainstorming and creative ideas. Need ideas for a project, presentations, or marketing campaign. AI can suggest topics, outline plans, or come up with creative examples to get your ideas flowing. Coding and data help. For those who work with code or data, AI can write code snippets, find bugs, or suggest formulas. It can also help analyze data by explaining charts or summarizing data tables. Design and visualization. Some AI tools can generate images or graphics from simple descriptions. For example, you could ask for a concept sketch or diagram, and the AI will create image that matches your description. Personal assistants. Generative AI power many chatbots and digital assistants. They can answer your questions, schedule your meetings, or even draft agendas. It's like having a virtual helper for everyday tasks. So now we're going to have an overview of how generative AI works. We have a certain underlying structure which is called neural network. And this is where the generative AI relies on for deep learning models. So what they do is that they try to recognize data patterns and then try to generate new realistic content resembling the input data. In general, the training is done in the very large data set. Could be the entire English vocabulary, or could be on the large set of images that has been stored throughout the time. or it could be sound to generate new sounds from past 10 or 20 years. But the underlying infrastructure that helps you to generate those real content is based on what we call as generative adversarial networks. GANs involve two neural networks, a generator that creates content and a discriminator that evaluates authenticity, improving generation quality over time. And for models like ChatGPT, we use what we call as the transformer-based models, which is aimed at processing vast amounts of data sequentially, try to understand the context, and generate coherent, high-quality text, images, or code. So, coming in to the types of AI-generated content. The types of content are given in the description below. First is text generation, where you can specifically ask chatbots where you are communicating with to have a human-like conversation with the user using the chatbot, or maybe generating content for marketing or communication or for news channels where you see that the text that is being generated is very human-like. Next is image generation. It can also produce realistic images, artworks, and designs benefiting creative professional branding and entertainment sectors with innovative visual content. Music composition is another example of AI-generated content. We can actually now create music that can compose melodies, harmonies, and even lyrics, revolutionizing music production and creative collaboration. Video and animation. Nowadays, VAI automates video editing, animation, and deepfake technology, enabling storytelling content, personalization, and film production enhancement. Code generation is another content that is generated by generative AI. It helps in assisting developers by generating programming code, debugging errors, and enhancing software development proficiency through AI-powered coding systems. So let's have a look at the example of how the LLMs work in general. Let's say that you want the chatbot or an LLM to help you plan a trip to Venice. How does it work? It basically takes this text that has been provided and takes each and every word known as tokens, converts it into a list of numeric representation, which we call as word embeddings. These word embeddings that is being encoded from a word to an equivalent numeric representation is now taken all together as what we call as a word embedding vector that represents this entire sentence. Now, as you can see, each of these color-coded words represents the respective words. Now, what we're going to do is that these word embeddings will be fed inside the large language model, which is responsible for generating the AI content. So as you can see, these word embeddings are now going to be passed inside an LLM or a large language model that represents the generative AI capabilities. It understands the relationship between those word embeddings, and then it will try to generate the content. So in this case, it is generating your plan for your trip, a one-week trip to Venice. Great. There you go. So you have a simple example that gives you a brief idea of the first day of how your plan to trip to Venice is going to be. So here are some of the popular AI models that are being used in the industry. So one of them is of course ChatGPT, that is powered by OpenAI. ChatGPT generates human-like text responses, enabling intelligent chatbots automated content creation, and AI-driven customer support through advanced natural language processing. The other example is Claude, which is developed by Anthropic. Claude is a leading AI model that generates highly coherent, human-like text, supporting advanced chatbots, content creation, and customer support with state-of-the-art natural language understanding. And then we have another example which we call DeepSeek, which is developed by DeepSeek, and the model that we use is called DeepSeek V2. It's an advanced language model capable of generating human-like text, driving intelligent assistance, automated content creation, and AI-powered customer support with strong reasoning and natural language understanding. So let us look at some of the use cases and applications. One of them being marketing and advertising. AI-generated content enhances marketing strategies by producing personalized ads and blog articles and social media content quickly and efficiently. Healthcare and medical research. AI assists in drug discovery, medical imaging analysis, and generating patient reports, improving accuracy and healthcare advancements. It is also quite popular in the gaming and entertainment industry, where AI-generated characters, environments, and storylines enhance gaming experience, movie production, and interactive storytelling. Education and e-learning. AI-powered tutors, automated content creation, and adaptive learning systems personalize education and enhance online learning experience. Next, we try to address the AI ethics, the ethics that is required to control AI and use AI in a very responsible manner. So as generative AI advances, ethical concerns arise regarding deepfakes, misinformation, and content authenticity. AI-generated content can be misused for deceptive purposes, making it crucial to implement regulations and authentication mechanisms to distinguish between real and AI-generated information. Bias in AI-generated content is another critical issue. Since AI learns from human data, it may inherit biases present in the dataset. So this leads to certain kind of misleading information. So in order to ensure transparency, accountability, and bias mitigation is essential for ethical AI development and deployment. Next, we're going to talk about prompting. So what exactly is prompting? A prompt is a question or instruction given to an AI. It's kind of like giving an instruction to your personal assistant or a robot in a futuristic setting that can do tasks for you. So how you phrase the prompt affects the output. So as I mentioned earlier, think of it like talking to an assistant. So why does prompt quality matters? What defines a prompt quality? For example, if you look at asking a generative AI tool to ask us make a specific document, and we say a prompt like make a document, it will not give you a correct answer as the input provided is not concise or to the point. So in order to give a good prompting, what we can do, for example, is that we can give a good prompt such as write a one-page summary of generative AI trends in 2024 for a business audience. So this will give you the exact, if not 100% correct, a relatively accurate output that you desire from the generative AI agent. So the more information you give, the better the AI can tailor its answer. If the first answer isn't quite right, you can refine your prompt or ask a follow-up questions. Effective prompting is a bit like giving clear instructions to a teammate. These details lead to better results. Now, we're going to talk about types of prompts. So, what are the types of prompts that we can provide to the generative AI tool? So the first one is zero-shot prompt, which gives a simple, clear instruction without providing examples. For example, summarize a document in few sentences. Then you can have another prompting strategy that can help you give a much more comprehensive answers. So let's start about discussing about what we call as the instructional prompt. The next is conversational prompt, which is used for creating the desired output. The AI sees your examples and learns the structure or style you want it to follow. For instance, show 2 examples of summaries and then write a third one in the same style. Now, we're going to talk about next as the role-based prompt, where we ask the AI to assume a persona or a role to guide its answer. For example, you're a customer support agent. How would you respond to its complaint? This helps AI tailor its tone and knowledge to a specific role. Now, we're going to talk about what we call as prompting techniques. These are some practical techniques to try. People often call this process prompt engineering. With some practice, you can learn how to fine-tune your prompts and get even better results from the AI. First, provide context and examples. Start your prompt by giving relevant information. If needed, show the AI an example of the format or style you want. This helps the AI match your expectations. For instance, include sample data or mention the role, like saying as a project manager. Write in the prompt. Second, ask for step-by-step reasoning. If you want thorough answers, instruct the AI to explain its thinking. Phrases like explain step by step or show your reasoning can make the response more detailed and clear. Specify the format. Tell the AI how to structure the answer. For example, you can ask for a bullet point, a number list, or a short summary. You might say, list 5 key points or write a 3-point summary. This ensures the answer comes out in the form you need. Fourth, specify the format and refine and reiterate. If the first response isn't quite right, try adjusting the prompt. You can ask the AI to fix errors, give a different perspective, or be more concise. Each new prompt in the same conversation benefits from previous context. Use multiple attempts. Sometimes asking the same prompt again or asking for multiple versions can give you different ideas. You can give me 3 different answers or try again with a formal tone. Then, pick the best result. Check and improve. Review the AI's answers critically. If it makes a mistake, point it out and ask for correction. For example, that's not accurate. Please fix it. Or is this information up to date? Can prompt it to refine the response, specify tone and style. Mention the tone or persona you need. For instance, ask for a casual, friendly answer or a formal business report style. This guides AI to match your desired voice. Control creativity if available. Some AI tools let you adjust how creative and random the output is and are often called the temperature or similar setting. A lower value makes the answer more focused and predictable, while a higher value can produce more creative or varied responses. Try different settings to see which works for your task. Experiments with wording. If the AI doesn't give you the result, you need to try rephrasing and simplify your prompt. Sometimes even small changes in wording can lead to much better answer. Each prompt can be refined. Think of prompting as an iterative process. You write a prompt, see the answer, and then tweak or add more details to the prompt if needed. Over time, you will get a feel for what works best. Generative AI is already used in many real jobs. So let's have a look at some of the real world examples. Marketing and writing, work email, reply. For example, if you say that reply politely declining a meeting invite for Friday. Meeting notes, summarize the Zoom's transcript in bullet points. Planning, create a 1-week meal plan for a vegetarian. So these are some of the real world examples that we can use by leveraging the generative AI tool. So how to write better prompts? You need to be very clear and specific, provide context or goals, or ask follow-up questions, and don't be vague or overly broad, as I mentioned in the previous prompting strategies. Now let's talk about the limitations. So what are the limitations of a generative AI? So generative AI can give wrong answers, can reflect bias from data. For example, if you're asking to find out what happened in the year 2025, the 2nd of April in London, and if the data provided to the agent, the generative AI agent, has been trained up to the month of February, it will not give you the accurate answer. Can reflect bias from data. In this case, let's say, for example, if your generative AI has been trained on certain political agenda, in that case, it might be possible that the data is biased towards this agenda. And if the AI is trained on such data, then most likely the AI is going to give you the same set of biasness in terms of generating answers when asked about such political agenda. It doesn't understand like a human being. Yes, this is very true, because it's mostly using mathematical computation and underlying models to understand the relationship between the words and then try to generate context. So it is better to double check your information that is generated by generative AI in order to see that the information generated is legitimate enough. Privacy risk. Of course, please don't share your sensitive information to AI, because this sensitive information is later used for training purposes, and because of the policies of various organizations which a user has agreed upon, will be stored in the company's database. So next we're going to talk about using generative AI in a very responsible manner. Given that generative AI helps simplify everyday work, prompting is an essential skill to learn, and better prompts means better result. And it's better to explore, experiment, and enhance your productivity. So how do you use it in a responsible manner? You basically provide prompts that are not harmful in a way. For example, let's talk about asking a generative AI to build a device that can harm others. If the generative AI did not have any regulations involved in it, it will automatically use this trained data to give you a very easy answer on how to build a device that can harm others. So what we can do is that provide better regulations so that such AI agents or generative AI are generating results and prevent them from generating such results. In addition to this, we should be also responsible of what kind of input is being provided to the data. So, for example, if we are writing a negative sentiment about some individual or about, say, a government organization, this might get recorded in the generative AI. It can get trained, and later on it might give you like wrong answers that might have a detrimental impact, and not only the user itself but the people around them. So taking all of this into account, we do advise to user to use prompting strategies that not only is used in a responsible way, but also to generate output in a very responsible manner. So in summary, always try to verify the outputs generated by generative AI, keep sensitive work private, and use generative AI as a helper and not as a replacement, and try to stay updated on ethics and tools that are being used by generative AI. Thank you.